When most of us think about AI, we think about asking a simple question and getting a simple answer back. But what happens when we want to go beyond that? When we want to build really sophisticated AI agents that can actually do things, complex, multi-step tasks? Well, that's where the game completely changes. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today. So let's start with a big idea. What if a prompt wasn't just a simple query you type into a chat box? What if instead it was more like a detailed architectural blueprint? A blueprint that tells an AI exactly how to think, how to behave, and how to solve problems from the ground up. Honestly, this one shift in perspective is the key to unlocking what AI agents can really do. And hey, if we're talking about blueprints, every project needs an architect, right? Well, in the world of advanced AI, this critical new role is called the context engineer. These are the master planners, the people who are designing the very logic and soul that brings an AI agent to life. Okay, so what does a context engineer actually do? Think of them as the person who creates this super detailed instruction manual for an AI agent. And we're not just talking about facts and figures here. This manual defines how every single piece of the puzzle, its tools, its memory, its safety rules, all work together as one cohesive system. They are, quite literally, writing the AI's internal rulebook. So that instruction manual really boils down to four core responsibilities. First up, the context engineer defines exactly how the AI can use its tools, like searching the web or running a piece of code. Then they have to instruct it on how to access and pull information from its memory. And this is a huge one. They build in the guardrails, the absolute non-negotiable safety features. And finally, they create escalation procedures, which is basically a plan for when the AI gets stuck and needs to pass the problem to a human. It's a total design for the AI's behavior. All right, so we've got our architect, but what does their final blueprint actually look like? This is where it gets really interesting, because we're about to look at the anatomy of a structured prompt. And let me tell you, this is the final product of all that design work, and it looks nothing like a simple question. So the first major piece of this blueprint is defining the tools. This section basically tells the AI agent, okay, here are the tools in your toolbox, and here are the exact situations when you should use them. It's not just about giving the AI a hammer. It's about giving it the wisdom to know what's a nail and what isn't. Next up is memory. And this is so much more than just remembering the last thing you typed. This part of the prompt guides the AI on how to tap into huge knowledge bases, maybe entire customer histories or past project documents. It gives the agent a real persistent memory to learn from, which makes it incredibly more capable and aware of the context. Now we come to what might be the most critical part of all, the guardrails. These are the ethical lines, the safety boundaries, that are hard-coded directly into the AI's operating instructions. The engineer defines what the AI absolutely should and, more importantly, should not do. This is how we make sure it operates safely and responsibly. And finally, what happens when a problem is just too complex, or maybe it's too ambiguous for an AI to handle? Well, that's where escalation comes in. This part of the blueprint is the AI's emergency plan. It tells the agent, hey, it's time to stop, admit you don't have the answer, and hand this over to a human expert. It is an absolutely vital safety net. So you see what's happening here? When you put all these pieces together, the tools, the memory, the guardrails, the escalation plan, you don't have a simple sentence anymore. What you have is a system, a complex, carefully engineered system designed for a very specific purpose. And this slide just says it all, doesn't it? On the one hand, you've got this simple prompt we're all used to, like asking, what is context engineering? But then look at the other side. You've got a structured prompt. It's organized with tags. It's got distinct sections. It looks a lot more like a piece of code than it does a sentence. This is that evolution in action, right here. So what really makes these structured prompts different? Well, they have some pretty clear hallmarks. For one, they can become really large, complex documents. They're also highly structured, using things like XML tags or Markdown to keep everything neat and organized. As we just saw, they have a very code-like appearance. And they're built to cover a whole range of possible scenarios, not just one little request. We started off by calling this whole thing an instruction manual. And yeah, that's a good way to start thinking about it. But as you've seen, it's really become something much bigger, something way more fundamental than that. It's not just a set of instructions. It's the operating system. That's it. That's the big takeaway. Context engineering is the foundational software that the entire AI agent runs on. It manages its resources, it directs all its core functions, and it defines the very nature of how the agent sees and interacts with the world. It is the invisible engine that makes intelligent action possible. And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating and frankly important question. As we all step into this new role as architects of AI, carefully designing its behavior, its rules, its purpose, what kind of intelligence are we ultimately going to choose to build? Because right now, the blueprint is in our hands.